Hope your Wednesday is going well. We're going to go ahead and cover these two earnings calls that we covered today, which is Atmos Energy and Gladstone Investments, starting with Atmos Energy, which is a energy company focused in natural gas. They handle most of the work in the South and Southeast Texas, Mississippi, states along those lines. But as I go through some of these main points, I'll be looking a little bit through their chart, and we can take a look and see some of their numbers. Whenever you're looking to get the details of a company that you're invested in the market, going to the company's name and then investor relations is typically where you want to go. Anybody can participate most of the times in these earnings calls. And sometimes you're able to call in, but usually it's like a webcast and they have presentations listed. But in general, the information is free to the public. But a couple things to note about how Atmos did this past quarter. They did beat on earnings. I believe they missed on revenue, and they did handle the unexpected winter storm very well, I guess, compared to their competitors. But other than that, some main things to note is that their 89% of their capital expenditure, which is the money they spend on building and revamping the company, was used and focused on safety and reliability, which is one of the biggest things you want to have when it comes to energy, especially natural gas. So that's solid to know. They are maintaining their 6 to 8% dividend growth. They're still on track for that. So that's solid. And then also they've had steady growth, about 54,000 customers added this year, 42,000 of those in Texas. They're mainly based there in the state of Texas, good old Texas. And I believe they picked up like 11,000 or so commercial customers, which is solid for the company. One thing to note, so energy companies get this thing called annualized income increases that are approved by the federal government. And basically what that is obviously, we have Duke Power here in North Carolina, but basically it gives the company the ability to increase their prices as far as how much they charge the customers. And the reason why they do that is because of the infrastructure build out. So that money, that increase is related to how much it costs to keep the grid online and keep it stable, because we don't want to have power outages like some places in Africa do. Power goes out. Sometimes they have power, sometimes they don't. It's not as consistent, but to keep things updated and safe, they requested that increase. Other than that, I believe one other major thing to note about Atmos is that they have no outstanding short-term debt, which is phenomenal for any company in general. Not having short-term debt, obviously they have some long-term debt, but in general, they are pretty well capitalized, along with 4.9 billion liquid. Now, as we look at their chart, we're looking at the weekly time frame. Let's go to the daily time frame, and we see that today they broke out. There was a little bit of buying up until the earnings report, with an expectation or probably insiders buying the price or buying the stock up due to the positive earnings report. Where do we expect it to go from here? Let's get down and dirty. So we got a high right there. We got a low denoted on this daily time frame. Let's delete this one. We're going to move this low. This is the most recent low. And so what we see here is that we have a high. We have a high, boom, and we had a actual lower high right here. And we also have our low and higher low. So we had a lower high going into the earnings week for the stock, but we have a low and a higher low. And now we actually have a breakout through this price point at 170.73. So if this stock closes over this upper resistance level or ceiling, that will be a sign that this stock is more than likely heading higher due to the earnings report, which was very positive, very in line with expectations, and a very solid company, I might say. Let's look a little bit closer. Let's go to a different time frame. Let's go to 30 minutes. We can get a little bit more detail. Now, let me get rid of these. This is solid. So now we see that breakthrough in a little bit more detail here. And we have a new high at 174.54. And we have a new most recent low on a 30-minute time frame at 172, about 172.80. And what we love to see is this breakthrough, because we have a full candlestick through on a 30-minute time frame, and then we are pulling back down right now. And what we want to see from this stock is we want to see it hit 172 and then bounce even higher. That's going to give confirmation to this initial breakout from that larger time frame, which was on the daily time frame, from this breakout right here. So Atmos is looking good. We'll see how they finish today, but let's go ahead over to Gain. Now, Gladstone is called Gladstone Investment Corp. And this is one of the first stocks that I picked up in my portfolio a couple of years ago, but it was when I was getting into dividend investing, because they pay a pretty solid dividend, which is about 6.75%. So there are dividend stocks that pay out higher dividends, like 14%, 20%, 30%, 40%. But that's when things get a little bit risky. But having a solid dividend paying stock that you can invest in gives you income outside of your capital gains. So Gladstone Investments, they did miss on their earnings per share, which is the money investors get paid, and their revenue. But the thing you want to focus on when it comes to a dividend focused stock is it going to be consistent in paying its dividends? And it has been all last year and for quite a time before then, so years on end. Now, with that being said, the big things that you want to focus on whenever you're investing in a dividend company that's supposed to give you income is net asset value, which in general has increased. They actually invested in about 4 companies last year, which was a couple $100 million. It cost them a couple $100 million. And with that investment, those companies, I believe it was either Rowan Energy or another company, but they performed operationally a lot better, which means that the company, as far as their earnings, grew. Because typically, sometimes investment companies say, "Oh, our portfolio did good. Our net asset value is great," but it was only because the valuation of the company, which is like a overall picture of the company, the outside view of a company, went up instead of the company actually growing in profits, in the money that they make, in the earnings that they make per quarter. So that was solid. And one thing to note on the earnings call, one guy was like, how did these companies perform so well when they're consumer based? They're not like tech companies or big aerospace companies or anything along those lines. And the CEO was basically like, it's because their product is phenomenal. It was EBITDA growth, which is earnings before interest, taxes, and depreciation and amortization, which is the decreasing of a piece of equipment or land or property's value over time. Confusing stuff. Anyways, just know that their earnings grew. The company performance was solid. So that is a great sign. Other than that, the only main thing to note about Gain is that they were able to buy up an energy company, Rowan Energy, and that's a big play when it comes to the AI move right now. One thing also to note about Gladstone Investment is they're not overly exposed to AI. So most of their companies aren't directly involved with the movement in the tech sector. But looking at their chart, the daily time frame is somewhat of a sideways trend, not too much going on. Let's go to a shorter time frame, and from there we can possibly get an idea of where the stock is going. And this is what we like to see. And this is how you can tell somewhat if the investors believe in what the company is doing. And obviously they do with this big jump at the 10 o'clock hour after the earnings call. I believe the earnings call was at 8:30 this morning. But what we see again here, we see that breakthrough one of the pressure points or resistance levels at around $14.13. And then it paired back, but it's creating a new floor. Delete this right here at about 1404. And that's what you want to see whenever you see a breakout to the top, above the top line or above the ceiling of a stock's price. When you see that breakout and you see this bounce back right here, you can typically, if you're a swing trader or a day trader, these candlesticks right here, seeing that bounce back to the upside would be a buy signal. Let me buy in, set a price target about $14.30, $14.50, $14.50. You may want to increase that more. Some people are scalp traders, most are, even computers, but that's when you would buy in and set your stop loss and set your profit. But yeah, overall, our two stocks did well. We still have a couple major companies coming at the end of today. I believe it is, who is it? It is Google. So we will be watching to see how Google does, or Alphabet. They are down about 2% right now before their earnings release. This is going to be a big mover of the market. It is one of the foundational stocks, foundational companies of the AI movement, the tech movement, the tech sector, the Magnificent Seven, all of that. It's a big deal. So we are going to stay tuned for that, and also probably do a little bit of a review of the reaction after and some of the details from the earnings. But yeah, that's all that I have for you this afternoon. I will talk with you guys later. Peace.